on his webcam. And Mr. Chossudovsky, I trust you're there. Can you hear me there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Thanks very much indeed for joining us there in Montreal. Now, as we know, government tanks are rolling once again onto the streets of Syria, with more deaths reported every day. What could be done to stop this violence?
Well, first of all, I think we have to address the underlying causes, because this is not a peaceful protest movement. There are reports of several hundred gunmen which have set fire to government buildings in the city of Hama. That was yesterday. Mind you, the model of insurrection is very similar to what happened in Dara right at the outset of these of the so-called protest movement. The city of Hama is a stronghold of the Muslim Brotherhood, and essentially this is a confrontation between the Muslim Brotherhood and the government. I do not think that it reflects generally public opinion in Libya, in Syria, which is committed to a secular Muslim society.
Well, is not the situation very similar to Libya, whereby there's no real clear understanding of who makes up the opposition? So if President Assad was to quit, who is actually waiting in the wings to take over?
But I think what we have to understand is that President Assad has very strong popular support, as confirmed by the mass rallies, pro-government rallies, which happened in the last couple of months. And what is happening is our actions essentially by Islamists, supported by outside forces. We know that that's the case. We know that there were incursions from Turkey and Jordan and so on. We're not dealing with a peaceful protest movement. We're dealing with a confrontation between gunmen, an insurrection on the one hand, and the armed forces, the military and the police.
So therefore, can I just ask you, therefore...
I think we also have to...
Let me just quickly ask you, after you painting that background there, if Assad was to fall, then that would lead to civil war, wouldn't it? So isn't it not in the West's interest to keep him in power?
No, I think we're really we are flooded with information which is biased in the mainstream media. I recall just about a couple of weeks ago, Agence France-Presse said there were 500,000 protesters in Hama, in a city which has a population of about less than 1 million, and in fact. It wasn't 500,000 protesters, it was 10,000 protesters. It makes a big difference. And of course, what the news reports have never mentioned is the fact that you have armed gunmen who are shooting at police. And this was confirmed even by the Israeli press, that there was an exchange of gunfire between insurgents, which are supported by the Muslim Brotherhood and by Islamist groups on the one hand, and government forces.
So therefore, should there be foreign intervention, as we've seen in Libya?
Well, I think this issue should not even be raised. People who are actually committing crimes against humanity is the NATO-US military alliance. We see it in Libya. There was absolutely no justification for the intervention in Libya. In an insurrection which took place in eastern Libya, and there's even less of a justification for an intervention in Syria.
But isn't there justification? Sorry, just to ask you, we're running out of time. But isn't there justification for the stability in the region and not just in Syria? Syria is clearly strategically a very important country. If that collapses, that can have a knock-on effect in the region.
Well, absolutely. It's a very important country, and if there's military intervention in Syria, then we are in for an extended war which goes from the Mediterranean right to the Chinese border, because then you have integration of the war theaters in Afghanistan, Iraq, of course Palestine, Lebanon, and so we're in for a much larger war. Let's understand that any kind of military intervention in Syria at this stage, using the pretext of a protest movement or responsibility to protect would have devastating consequences and lead to a military escalation of a vast area.
Michel Chossudovsky, always good to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much indeed for joining us live in Montreal.
Thank you very much.
Well, still ahead for you this hour here on RT. Information